are the rental costs, and what can you actually sell the property for. So here is a simple formula. You have an asking price of this particular property of $280,000. Now we want to look at her ARV. After you put the rental in, what would be the after repair value? Now where do you get your ARV? You get it from comparables, your comps. Well, your ARV comes from comps. Comps are properties sold, not what they're asking for the properties, but what properties are actually being sold for. They need to be in a similar area from your subject property. The same layout, same number of bedrooms and baths. The age of that property must be within 10 years of the subject property. All comps must be fresh comps, at least 6 months. We're not comparing properties that sold 3 years ago to properties that are selling today. You must work, and this is key for you. You must work with an investor-focused mortgage broker, an investor-focused real estate agent. Those two work together. Number one, the lending is going to be different. You're going to be in a different lending vehicle than you were as if you were a consumer. You need to be working with professional, investor-focused mortgage brokers and agents. Together, you're going to work on this deal. Now, this deal is going to take you 3 months. You don't want to be in a product that if 3 months from now you go and sell that property, you have all these penalties to pay. So you really need to have the right product. It's going to take you 3 months max, and no less than $40,000. So now, once you've established your ARV, for example, we've established that our ARV in this particular property is $350,000. Now let's try to determine what would be the right purchase price for this property. So you have your ARV, $350,000. You have your sales cost, which we're going to put in 10%. Now that will automatically generate, will tell you exactly the total profit at this point. You don't know, but on the other side, you're working with a contractor. He gives you a quote. That quote is $23,000 to do the renovation in order to bring this property's value up, active appreciation. There's also going to be some carrying costs. So you have your total renovation cost and carrying costs of $28,500. Now, you can determine that your total cost on this, between the sales cost and the carrying cost, is $63,000. If you wanted to make $51,000 or $50K on this particular deal, it's very simple. You can't pay more than $235,000 for this deal. Now, if you paid $240,000, would you still be okay? If you paid $240,000 for this deal, what would be the profit? 46. So you're still within that realm. But what happens is people go out and they buy a property and they don't even understand how it works. At the very beginning, we talked about an ARV of $350,000 with an asking price of $280,000. You can say, "Oh, that's a great spread. I can buy that property for $280,000 and sell it for $350,000 after I've done the rental," without considering the cost of the rental, the fact that there's going to be closing costs, real estate agent costs. So you really need to understand what you're doing and follow the system. Again, if you paid for this property at $235,000, you end up with $51,000. But at least you understand how this works. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, throughout this weekend, we are going to be sharing with you a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different case studies, a lot of different strategies, and I'm trying to make you a transactional engineer. So by the end of this, you can look at a property and know exactly what to do. You can go like this. Do it with me. engineer. Now, is there any questions when it comes to that particular scenario? We'll take a quick break. Anyone you have a question?
Why are you using 40,000 rather than a percentage?
Because the percentage to me is irrelevant because you're flipping property, right? Now you can have a return. It's called the cash on cash return. I'm going to show you how to calculate that. But I know that there's a sweet spot for me, which is above $40,000. Does that make sense? So if it's, I can make a good return and I'm making $20,000, it's just not worth the risk and the time for me to make anything less. Does that make sense? Yeah. And there's also going to be a cash and cash return, which I'm going to show you how to calculate the return on investment, which that's a percentage. You want to copy something down? Yeah, so during the break, we're going to take a break right now. So I'll just leave it up there for the break. Yeah. Okay, any more questions? How are you guys feeling, by the way? Yeah? Well, I want you to look at your neighbor, give him a high five, and tell him, you're awesome! You're awesome. Okay, can we use a little break? Yeah, okay, we'll take a little, let's call it between 5 and 10 minutes. Quickly, and remember, if you are hungry, go and get yourself some snacks. I don't want you sitting here angry at me. But we'll take between 5 and 10 minutes. We'll see you soon.